In this video, we're going to be sharing deadlifts for boxing. Hello everybody, welcome to Boxing Science. In this video, we're going to be covering deadlifts for boxing. Deadlifts are the true test of strength. How much load can you lift from the floor from a dead start, challenging lower body strength, concentric power, also trunk strength and stability. And deadlifts are used across a range of different sports, but in boxing, I see this done with questionable technique across social media. Boxers struggle with the technique due to poor posterior shoulder strength and poor postural stability, and also a lack of exposure to maximum strength as they're developing as athletes. So it's really important to refine the technique and select the most appropriate variations to make sure that deadlifts are safe and effective for explosive boxing performance. So in this video, we're going to be sharing 5 deadlift variations with explanations of the benefits and the technical cues so you can use deadlifts in a safe and effective way to power up your performance. Trap bar deadlift. The trap bar deadlift is our #1 variation for deadlifts. The reason why is safer and more effective than the straight bar deadlift. I'll say a few reasons. The straight bar deadlift can be quite difficult for boxers to perform because they have to get quite low into position and their hip mobility might affect the depth of the deadlift. This might leave them in a rounded posture. Also, with the bar being in front of the body will leave the shoulders to roll forward and be a real challenge to keep them shoulder blades pinned back due to the anterior dominance of the shoulder complex. This is particularly harder when you're lifting heavier loads. Due to poor posterior shoulder strength and postural stability, boxers might end up rounding their back during heavier loads. So what do we have to do? We either expose our athletes into dangerous positions, which affects the safety, or we can reduce the load to make sure that they're lifting with better technique. But with this, we're actually sacrificing that load. Instead of doing this, if we perform it on a trap bar, we're going to get much better results and we're going to be lifting with much better technique to make this exercise safer. So the reason why the trap bar is a safer alternative is because the handles are in a neutral position, keeping the shoulder blades pinned back, and also the handles are slightly elevated. So the athlete can start from a slightly elevated position. It's going to be more comfortable and they're going to be stronger in this position. They're going to have a stronger posture from the start and then being able to lift heavier loads. So our athletes are going to be performing deadlifts a lot safer with the trap bar deadlift, but most importantly, they're going to be exposed to higher loads. This exposure to higher loads will help improve strength, peak force, rate of force development, which will transfer into more powerful boxing performance. The trap bar deadlift is used with athletes at all different stages. We start them off with a few accessory exercises, but I'm quite happy to get athletes on the trap bar deadlift after about 5 or 6 weeks of strength and conditioning training, as long as they're keeping their posture in a good position, because this exercise is a very easy exercise to do and you can get a lot of good improvements in a short amount of time. For beginners, I'll be using between 6 and 8 repetitions. For people that are intermediate, anywhere between 3 and 5 repetitions. And then for those that are more advanced, they can go between 1 and 3 repetitions. Quick interruption. If you're a keen follower of Boxing Science, you'll know that we're very data driven, whether that's our strength and conditioning training, high intensity conditioning, or our sports science research. We're very data driven also with our content, and that's why this year we've provided some fantastic content for you to take into your training environment. And part of the data in our YouTube analytics shows that only 32% of people that watch these videos actually subscribe to the channel. The other 68%, can ask a quick favor, if you could please hit that subscribe button to help support the channel, help it grow so we can bring even bigger and better content for you. Now let's get back to the video. Standard trap bar deadlift. So the trap bar deadlift is a fantastic exercise. However, looking at acceleration trends, the most acceleration is done at the bottom and at the top of the lift, meaning that there is a sticking point in the middle. What we need to do in boxing, we need to produce a lot of force in a very short amount of time. Constantly accelerate from the lower body through the core, through the fists, in a punching action. So with our deadlifts, we want to increase rate of force development, increase acceleration, and drive through that sticking point. So adding the bands, you can do bands at the side or what we do at Boxing Science, really easy way to do it is just attach one red band to the trap bar and stand on that band. This increases the tension at the top around about 15 kilos, but what we've seen with our data is increasing that time of acceleration. So what this does is increase the net impulse of that exercise, which will help increase rate of force development. So again, with this is for more advanced athletes where we'd be performing anywhere between 3 and 5 repetitions. Trap bar deadlifts from blocks. So the trap bar deadlift is used because we're in a slightly elevated position due to the elevated handles. We can elevate this position even more by adding blocks. And this blocks is doing partial range movements, so supra maximal training. And the main goal of this is to expose our athletes into lifting heavier loads. A challenge for boxers is maximum strength due to the lack of exposure to maximum strength training through their athletic development. So at Boxing Science, we look to try and improve maximum strength first, but there's a few things that are holding us back. One being the high training loads, two being postural stability during heavier loads. So we can reduce postural stability element by starting from a slightly higher block, so athletes can get into a stronger position and almost avoiding that sticking point moment where their posture will likely to falter. So this is helping athletes lift heavier loads safer. For more advanced athletes, what we look to do is go supra maximal strength training, which is going beyond their 1 rep max. So hitting 110 to 120% of their 1 rep max will help improve peak force development. If we increase peak force development, this will transfer into increasing rate of force development, which is a key contributor to a fast and hard punch. So using partial range deadlifts, really effective for our athletes to get as much load on the bar as possible to really increase maximum strength. So if you're wanting to do this, partial range deadlifts, start off by going around about 90 to 100% of your 1 rep max, because it's going to be still quite hard, challenging one, the grip, 2, postural stability. So you want to be quite cautious with the loads first and then start building it up to 105%, 110, and potentially going towards 120% of your 1 rep max. This is between 3 and 5 reps for this exercise. Rack Romanian deadlift. So we're using the straight bar and we're doing it in a Romanian deadlift position. Romanian deadlift is primarily a hip dominant exercise. So often it's been called a stiff leg deadlift. This is a Romanian deadlift where we're slightly bending the knees and we're starting in a racked position. Starting in this racked position helps us increase the amount of load on the bar. This is going to be really challenging for that posterior shoulder strength, core and trunk stability, and also that rate of force development starting from that dead start, really driving through. It's going to be challenging hamstring and glute strength and really powering up hip extension, which is vital when rotating and extending the hips explosively into that punching action. The rack Romanian deadlift is a good starter exercise for people that are learning that hinge pattern, but also a fantastic exercise if an athlete is stagnating on their trap bar deadlift. Great to put this exercise in to really challenge that hip extension strength and posterior shoulder strength through the rack Romanian deadlift. Rep ranges for this between 3 and 5 repetitions. Kettlebell deadlift. So if you're just starting out on deadlifts, you might find the technique quite hard if you're on a straight bar or a trap bar. The kettlebell is a great way to refine that technique. Having the kettlebell in between the legs and sitting into that deadlift position is going to be a lot easier to maintain a neutral posture. To keep those shoulder blades pinned back, keep that chest up, keep that posture throughout the movement. With the kettlebell deadlift, you can start off on lighter loads. Total load and total shear forces going through the spine is reduced. So even if you get that technique wrong to start off with, it's not going to be as dangerous as getting the technique wrong on a straight bar or trap bar deadlift. So the kettlebell deadlift is a fantastic exercise for beginners, but it's also a great exercise for any type of athlete. The reason why is because the kettlebell deadlift is an appropriate exercise to use at the start of training camp. So at the start of training camp, athletes come in after having a few weeks off. Even in the training camp before, they'll have had several weeks away from heavy lifting. So the last thing that you want to do in the first few weeks of your training camp is to be lifting heavy. Doing the kettlebell deadlift at the start of training camp can help increase loads, help improve strength without exposing athletes to high loads straight away. Doing this for more advanced athletes might be quite easy. So what we like to do at Boxing Science is a kettlebell banded deadlift. Getting the bands between the squat racks, this will increase the tension at the top end of the lift and can increase the difficulty of this exercise. So we get athletes giving about 8 or 9 out of 10 RPE with a total load around about 50 kilos at the top. So this is exposing our athletes to significantly less load, but they're getting strength adaptations and building up them strong foundations for their training camp ahead. For kettlebell deadlifts, if you're just starting off, you can perform anywhere between 8 and 12 reps. Likewise, if you're just starting out on training camp, but if you're using the banded variation, you might want to limit this between 6 and 10 repetitions. Okay guys, so that's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. This is Deadlift for Boxing. If you're wanting to find out more about how you can train with Boxing Science, go and check our website, boxingscience.co.uk, where we've got a range of different programs, ebooks on strength training, conditioning, nutrition, and even our one-to-one packages. Go and check that out, boxingscience.co.uk. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully see you on the next video of Boxing Science.